All right, everybody. This is Casey, and I'm a little bit early here. We are just going to get started. And so, first things, I can see the comments. I'm a little bit of a rookie with this StreamYard. This is um, it's really my second workshop using it. I really like it if I can get a little better with it. So, I have the chat box over here on the right so I can see you. Looks like we have just a few people that have checked in. I can see, hey, Bill, Danny, Joe. Um, those are the ones I can see so far. Um, it says they're having trouble streaming to Facebook. Hmm. So if you guys can just hear me and you can see me and everything's kind of getting started right, just put yes in the chat there and I'll know. We'll give it a couple of minutes here before we get started. First thing we'll do is just I know I have a whole bunch of people that um, are going to be checking in here in a couple of minutes. So I want to give it some time. It was a little clunky the way the login link worked. So I'm going to give people just a couple of minutes here. Because for those of you that are here, have you had a chance to download that workbook and get that working document, your own version that you can work from today? Uh, Yeah, this is kind of trippy. I've also got over here. I'm gonna bring in another computer. I want to see if this is going to work because then I can actually look at and see what I'm doing from. Yeah, this is really a trip. So, Danny, you can't download it? All right, so let's try this here then. Because this is going to be really important that you're able to do this. Let me just see this. That's the link there. Let me know if that works, if that's a live link. You may have to copy it and paste it in your window and then go, but that should get you the document that we're going to be working from. And I really want you to have your own version. I'm going to double check something over here. Oh, I see. A couple of you have asked me for a share request, and I apologize. This is supposed to be able to share without the share request. So I'm authorizing all the shares right now. That should fix it. Right? I love it when a plan comes together. Share. So Frank, Denny, Jonathan, Sean, or excuse me, Judy, and Bill. That should get all of that to those of you who have asked for it. So I'll bounce back and forth and make sure that this is actually going to work. And again, all of this is just part of part of our goals for 2024 is to get better at this. We've built quite an audience and quite a fan base, really primarily through LinkedIn and our podcast. And so as a result of that, I'm getting to a point where I can no longer keep up with all the phone traffic and conversations, although I want to. So what we're going to try to do is be able to each month have um, the ability to, as each of these, as we go through this today, what you'll see is each of these individual categories, topics, and tasks, if you will, they will require um, instruction, support, training, managing each one individually by itself. And it's a lot. It's certainly not something we can cover every single thing in this particular workshop. But what we will be able to do is get us to a point where everybody understands and has a clear set of goals they want to accomplish. So I'm just again, I'm killing a couple of minutes here. I'm gonna get started. There is a chat box that's on your right, and there's also a comment box on your right. And really, all I want to do is just see how many people are here, where you're from. I see a lot of you are our customers. So if you're one of our customers, you can even let me know that. And then we'll get started and get into this. I anticipate maybe 60, 70 minutes. And as I said, we'll have questions and interactive dialogue going on through this, um, through the comments and chat dialogue boxes on the right. And so, Denny, you still, hmm, so I'm having a little bit of trouble with the comments. And I don't know if that's, again, because we're live streaming. So we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. And between all of those things, I am really not sure if we're showing up live everywhere. Okay, good. Danny, you're back. Good. All right. So it's 11:06. We were scheduled to start at 11 o'clock. So I'm going to roll and I'm going to assume that this is the number of people that we're going to roll with. We have 51 on the list. There's not 50 here. So hopefully people will come in. Thanks, Golly. Hopefully people will kind of come in as we go and be able to join us. So I'm going to bring up uh, our slideshow and information, and I'm going to be bouncing around a little bit between screens. And so you need to let me know if we're having problems or having troubles or things are not working well so I can slow it down or back up or refresh or whatever I need to do here. As I said, from a technical standpoint, right now, we're using StreamYard, which is live streaming software. I really like it. If you have some favorite YouTube channels, you'll probably see a lot of the same kind of features that we can do here. And I'll get better at this as we go. But if first of all, I'd really like to say that I'm excited to have all of you here and be able to do this in a forum where I can deal with several different people all at the same time. This is being recorded. I'll be able to save it. It's going to be live on our channels. So I'm anxious to see how this works in terms of being able to disseminate information. This workshop really today is all about you. And what I want you to view this as is when we're in the background and we're a marketing agency and we're working with a pest control owner or manager or director and they have ideas on what they want to accomplish and they're looking at us to be the group or the team that goes and gets that done for them. It's really important that we're able to work in a team environment, that what we're doing is trying to help them get where they're going and them understanding that it's not always easy. There's some difficulties involved, and there's strategies involved, there's competitors involved, there's budget, there's all of these complications that get into the mix. And what we do not want to be, as a matter of fact, we, for the most part, don't have any more clients and certainly don't want any that view us as just a slot machine vendor. So, in other words, I'm going to give you $5. I want $10 back, and that's it. And I don't have to do anything. And it's your job to go wave a magic wand and get us lots of leads and lots of stuff. Doesn't really work that way. We need to be a team. We have trouble getting things done as well as you do. We need help. We need support. So that's enough about that. That's really what this is all about. And so, for those of you that don't know me, even those of you that may know me a little bit, what I would really like to do here is I would like to explain just briefly who I am. Why should you even bother to listen to me? So I for 40 years now, it's even more than that, which is scary. I've worked in advertising and marketing, and in particular with small and medium business and home sales and home service type businesses. Um, Once upon a time, long before Google was even a thought, I was a young sales guy that would go see businesses all day, every day to work with them to set up their yellow page ads in the phone book. Hopefully, some of you remember what that is or remember those days. If you can remember the yellow pages, just give me a note here on the comments. Yeah, I remember it. No, I don't. I was there and eventually got to a point of being an executive overseeing several groups nationwide that all were tasked with going out and working, specifically with small business, home business each and every day. And so, yeah, good. I see some of yous remember it. Well, I was there at a time where all the old guys that were running it, and I'm running the sales organization, couldn't believe that these young guys out of Stanford who had this startup thing they call Google could ever, in its wildest imagination, replace the Yellow Pages. Joseph remembers a double truck. That's really funny as we're going. One of our biggest customers that we're still working with, when I walked into his office, he had his double truck in a frame up over his head. They were spending 21,000 a month in the yellow pages with those double trucks, and they just weren't working anymore. And he, much like the guys that I worked for, could not in his wildest imagination believe that there was any way he was going to be able to cancel those yellow page ads and still stay in business. Anyway, so then my wife had an advertising agency called Rhino Digital Media. She really didn't want to do that anymore. I had two sons that had gotten out of college. The Yellow Pages and AT&T had changed so much that I just couldn't stand it anymore. So I took my golden parachute. I left, uh, assumed my wife's business, and then we went into the digital side of the house, partnered up with several different software companies, and it's been very fun ever since. That's been about 12 years now that we made the changes to those operations. It's become very successful. We like pest control for a lot of reasons. Probably the single most beneficial reason that I see in working with pest control is it's recurring business. Everybody's a lead, so every business owner, every residential homeowner, even renters, they're all an opportunity for us to be able to set them up on a recurring revenue basis as a foundation for a company. You just can keep building on that, on that, and on that. And there are not too many businesses like that. I mean, you look at other home services, so carpet cleaning, plumbers, HVAC and air conditioning, these guys, I mean, everything's a one shot. So every year you start all over with. What I love about pest control is if you do a good job with recurring over time, you're going to build a foundation. So each year's new revenue is going on top of at least a large percent of last year's new revenue. So anyway, we get into pest control. We like pest control. We've been in control for quite some time. We ourselves are I'm looking at something here. We're a family run business as well. So I think the dynamics there work for us very well. Um, why am I having trouble here? Okay, here, getting to the next slide. So here's a few questions that I have for you. I'm going to bring this up full screen here so I can see it a little bit better. But there are a few things, and we can even talk about this a little bit in chat here just for a minute. Again, trying to be interactive, trying to work together. But how was 2023 for you? And again, be real. I mean, was it great? You exceeded all of your wildest imagination? You wish maybe you could have done a little bit better, so it was not so great? It was good. It was typical year. We went through the year, we made some money, etc. And so good. So the first I got a great and I got a good. And so that's where we really want to try to. And then I got a not so great. So what we're trying to get to here is this is about you. And so what I mean by that is there's in goal setting and planning in our marketing workshop that we're going through here today, this is about you walking away from this with an idea of what you want to accomplish in 2024 and whether or not you can get there. And not relying on anybody else because no one's going to help you. No one's going to get you there. The Philadelphia Eagles found that out last night. They came in and they wanted to get something, and unfortunately, they weren't prepared. They didn't do a good job, and they didn't get it done. I hope there's no Eagles fans out there. Sorry, had to take a shot of them. I still haven't got over last year's NFC championship. But anyway, so again, get yourself in the frame of mind of what do we have going on here? How many people do we have working with us? What did we do this year? And what do we want to do for 2024? So as we move forward with this meeting, again, looking at what we want to try to accomplish, and we as you, is to get clear goals and targets for 2024, not hopes, wishes, but we want to really get a target that says, this is what I want to do. It's realistic. There's no reason I can't. I'll be very happy if I can and if I get there. And then we want to determine and sort of reverse engineer, which is the reverse of how people normally do it. How many leads do we need to establish? What is it going to take for us in terms of leads? And leads come in all kinds of form fills, phone calls, messages, text. They can even be drop-bys. I know they're not anymore, but they used to be. But all of those sources and where they come from and how much money does it cost to get them is what we need to focus in on today. Then we want to establish a model that's going to be based upon a budget to go get those things. And I'm going to show you in a minute how you can use that worksheet that I gave to you and play around with and get this concept clear in your head. And I understand, even though it may be broken down month by month, that in reality, we're going to have peak months. So it's kind of a camel hump, right? January, February, March, in peaking up maybe July, August, and back and down the other side. And I know some of you guys are in Florida. Maybe it's not such a steep climb up and down. Others of you are in very cold weather states where essentially we got 3-4 months out of the year where we're doing planning, we're getting ready. So that's really what we want to be able to do. Then we want to map out a plan for our future. So, both of our accomplishments, our revenue, our goals, our business, whatever it is that we want to do, short term and long term with our business, we want to plan. We want something we can look back at and we can track and we can see, are we getting there? Are we not getting there? Why not? And what do we need to do? And there's different channels for that success. So again, we're talking channels in relationship to search engines like Google, to social media channels like Facebook, to directory channels like even say yellowpages.com or Yelp or other things. Those are a lot of different channels, and those are all opportunities for you to grow your business. And we'll try to keep it all again revolving around how much do I spend for something? How much do I get for it? And is it or is it not worth it? And am I doing the best that I can? And then again, last but not least, we want to make have just in terms of as we're going through this, some general discussion on trends in marketing, things like artificial intelligence, AI, things like web chat, things like text messaging now really starting to replace email, things like messaging in terms of leads starting to take over form fills. Form fills are starting to slow down, but the leads are not going away. It's just that people seem to be a little more comfortable working through messaging and texting and things along those lines. So we either get with it or we get left behind when it comes to things like that. Now, what I want to do now, and I'm gonna move over here and let's make sure I do this right. So I'm gonna present, I'm gonna share my screen, share it. I'm gonna share my whole screen so I can flip around here with you. But let's just see here if this is going to work. And what I want to know, that doesn't look right, does it? Let's see if it catches up. Okay, so you can see this, right? Let me know again in the chat. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, Joe, I think Mike Tomlin was not a happy camper if you saw that him on TV last night. Okay, so it looks like what's happening is with all these um, live streaming connections that what's happening is I'm just a little bit behind. But if you would, some of you, what I asked some of you to do, I hope that you got that info this morning. If not, what I'd like you to think about for a moment is Judy wants to, yeah. So, Judy, I'm with you, but I can't say so because my wife's from Kansas City, a big Chiefs fan. So, but I'd like to see Josh get there as well. I'm from California. He's a kid from Fireball. Anyway, sorry. What I'm thinking about here is this. If you could just establish a revenue growth goal, that's again, it's fair, it's reasonable. It may be 100,000 and it may be 10 million, but it's realistic for you, your company, your resources, and what you can do in terms of growth for this year in 2024. I'm talking about just revenue. It can we can break it down later into recurring, commercial, residential, shots, a lot of different things. But what would be a realistic goal for you for this year? If you can just type that down in chat for me and let me get an idea here on what kinds of numbers that we are looking at with our group here. Um, if you can help me, I'm looking over here at my other monitor just so I can get an idea um, about what kind of growth goals are we looking at? Are we looking at millions? So somebody's actually in. So Bill, you're in my worksheet. What you need to do is go up here in file and make a copy. So you go file, make copy, and then make your own copy that will be your same thing for you, Nick, that will be yours. So sorry if I didn't make that clear, but one of the cool things about Google Docs is you can share it around. But if you don't want everybody making changes to your doc, you need to make a copy and rename your own version. So then when we're all done, you'll have your own version there. Make sense? You guys with me? I think that was you, Nick. So I'm looking at 100,000, 200,000, 600,000, 80,000. And so those are all very attainable goals, by the way. But what I want you to do, work with me here. Again, let's just pretend we're in a classroom, we're kicking it around, and I'm not a marketing guy. And we want to talk about, from a numbers perspective, how we can get to a goal. So let's kind of split the baby here, and let's call this goal 250,000. Okay. And again, you'll see, oops, I do 250, I did 2.5 million. Sorry. You'll see the concept here, and you'll get it and how it applies to what you're doing. And you'll also start to understand, if you're one of our customers and you've been working with us, why you see me so hung up sometimes on the conversion rate and tracking everything, so that we can work together with you in terms of what you're selling and why it is good and exceeding what we want, why it's not there, as opposed to, once again, getting into that relationship where you pay us our monthly fee and then you sit back and you hope we cover it. And if we don't, you're mad and we're trying to explain why. I hate that. This is a team effort. So what you're going to see here is, if I put in $250,000 is what I want in terms of new revenue growth for this year. What it really means is, again, just simple math. It's give or take about $21,000 in new sales monthly to get there. Now, the next question I have for you is this. So, in pest control, just sort of an industry standard number we use for an average sale, and we like to use an average sale of in this case, a residential recurring customer, and we're using $550. So, once again, for those of you hanging with me, is that about right for you for an annual customer, recurring general pest control type of customer? And if it's not, give me another number and we can play with this, or you can change yours on your own. And I'll show you why these numbers become so important as we're trying to get a plan, we're trying to create a strategy and how we can work around this. And what we don't want to do as a marketing agency, we don't want to blow a bunch of smoke and, and unicorns and rainbows and give you fake numbers that look good, but nobody can get there. We want all of these numbers to lean in your direction. So if it should be 500, let me know that. I'm not getting, oh, that's great. 828. And I'll show you what that means here in a minute. So I'm going to stick here for the moment with my 550. And let me just show you how that determines numbers. So 550 essentially is going to mean that we need to sell throughout the course of the year about 76 customers each month. And now we're going to look at, okay, to get to 76, what do we really need to do? So I am looking at here, again, another standard conversion rate. So sales conversion rate of 50%. And you need to be realistic with me. I'll get a lot of these conversations where people want me to believe they have an 80 and a 90% conversion rate. But what they're really saying to me is, I don't count any of the leads except the ones I sell, and nothing else counts. Well, that's not going to give you realistic budget strategies if you're trying to do that. You have to take into account there's part of the whole reality with leads and why there is a conversion rate is the very fact that not every one of them is good. And what we're trying to get down to and could continually improve every day, every week, every month is how many, if we get 10 calls this week, how many can we convert? And how realistically, how many are we converting? And I'll show you why. So if we use a percentage rate of 50, stay with me, guys, and communicate with me, because that's the only way I'm going to know if this is, if this is relating to you and if it makes sense. So if I have a $250,000 goal and it's 21,000 a month and my average customer is $550, oops, and I'm going to need 76 of those new customers every single month so that I can get to um, my $250,000 revenue goal, then we have to look at how many of my leads do I convert? Because the number of leads I would need on a monthly basis is 152 if I'm converting at 50% to get me to that 76 magic number that goes on to sell that kind of revenue. Does that make sense? Let me know, guys, because I don't want to lose you. I want this to be something where you haven't already checked out, you're on your cell phone or you're doing other things. I want to know and make sure that this is making sense to you. And yes, it sounds very um, great. Okay. And if in fact we had uh, an average lead cost or our cost per lead was at or around $95, what we would really need in budget to hit this is $14,000 a month. Okay. $14,000 a month. So what does that really mean to us? Now let's go up here and let's just look at something. So Joe said that his average customer in SoCal is worth about 825. So look at what happens to that when you go. Wait a minute. Something's happening here. So my numbers, I think when you guys got in here, you messed up my numbers. So let me do this. I'm going to open another one because that's really a bummer. It says you edited just now. All right, so let me go in here. Ah, you got to be kidding me. So all the formulas got removed out of here. So let me just think here for a minute what I want to do and make sure they didn't get removed out of here. It looks like they're all in here. So give me 1 second here, guys. Sorry about this. This is one of the things I've been a little bit worried about with going live. And so, and I hope that your formulas are still there. So, yeah, Judy, the thing is, I'm not in Excel here. I'm actually in, um, I'm actually using Google Docs, which, yeah, let me just see. Let me just undo a couple of them and see if I can get back to where I want to be. Yeah, there you go, Judy. Pretty good. So let's go. Go back a couple more. All right. Hang on with me 1 second, guys. Sorry, I just need to get something else opened here. So I've got another one in here. So let me just go like this. Okay, I think I got this all set now. So the whole point there, what I was trying to get to, and again, sorry about that, folks. You still with me, or did everybody leave? Yours is correct, colleague. Good. Yeah. So this one, so I learned a lesson there. What I'll do in the future is I'll share this one, but I have yet a separate one for me. But what I was trying to do, so let's look at this and let's get back now to what we were doing. So with a $550 average customer value and a 50% target, this is the number of leads, so 12 divided by 16, right? That we would need. Now, let me just change this to show the significance here. So you can see if I'm closing 25%, now it's taken me 152 to get there. And then you can see the budget that's required goes to 14. Now let me just double check my own stuff here. So you see how these numbers, how they are affected by two very, very relevant factors. One is your conversion rate, and the other one is your average customer value. And that's why, how much you charge, what you do, it's so, so very important because when you aggregate this out over the course of a whole year, it can have enormous uh, um, positive and or detrimental outcome to what we're doing. Does that all make sense? And thanks, Judy, for the advice. And sorry it took me a minute there to get back on track. But does that make sense to you? The significance here of your average customer value, your conversion rate, and then the average cost per lead, they all work together. And that's what we really want to work on. So if we go next to budget allocation, and we're using, what did we really decide the number was going to be? I think it was actually going to be 200,000. I got sidetracked. And so when you look at a number of 200,000, so Denny, you're in mine again. Yeah, you guys need to get in your own, please. Yeah, what's happening here? I can see what's happening. All right. So there we go again. All right. Let me just. All right. So if you have the original worksheet that you downloaded to copy, close that window and stay out of there. Denny, you're back in mine again. So stay out of mine, close that window, and then work on yours. I know it's a little complicated having all these windows open and shut. Same thing, Joseph, you're in mine as well. So I think what I'm actually going to do here, I'm going to make my own copy. I'm going to put working copy, make a copy. I am going to go over here I'm going to turn all the sharing off. Okay, good. So nobody else in here. All right. So now I got my own working copy. Now we're back on track, and I apologize. I'm learning as we go. As I said, I'm going to close all these other copies, but let's go into looking at a budget. So if we're going to use that number, 200,000, all right? That's what we want to um well, what we want to do here, okay? We want to take our goal money and our existing money and put those together. And why do I say that? So let's just say that it's 200 and 150. So we have 150,000 on the books. We want to grow and sell 200,000 this year. We want to get aggressive. So that is 350,000. And what we're trying to figure out now is to figure, all right, well, how much money do I need to allocate of my 350,000? And I understand, and one of the dilemmas with pest control is I understand that as we're going through this, we're selling, if we achieve our $200,000 goal this year in 2024, we're still going to be attaining that revenue, much of that revenue in 2025. And then we're going to take these same numbers and compound them on top in 25. And that is why you have to really look at this as almost a 2-year plan, because even though we attained our sales revenue at the end of 2024, we may not have and likely will not recover all of or get all of that money in cash in the bank until we go through a few months into 2025. That has to get into the mix as well. So, what I want you to see here, though, is as we look at this and as we're trying to calculate a strategy and a plan, we're going to say our annual projected revenue is 350,000, including what we're going to sell attached to what we have. And you're going to use your own numbers. So, your own numbers will help you to determine what kind of money am I going to need in order for me to go get this done. And this is to me where the rubber meets the road for all of you. And I say, I don't know how many times every single day on the phone with people, if you don't have the money, if you're not ready, if it's going to create anxiety and turmoil for you, don't do it yet. Wait. Understand. This is to understand if you're going to go do this, this is what it's going to take. There's not a secret way to do this without any money. There's not a way around the fact that you're going to have to do things that are going to cost money to get to where you want to be. That's what investing in your own business is all about. But let's just say that, and you can see here, we'll use sort of a mid-level number, 10% of our annual projected revenue as a budget for marketing. And you can adjust this. So 8% is a small marketing budget, 9 to 20 is recommended, 5% is really conservative. And the irony that typically goes here is the smaller your projected revenue is, the higher you're going to have to devote a percentage of for marketing and advertising, or you're just not going to have enough money to do anything. And this is something I run into all the time is, hey, I've only got $500. What's it going to get me? Well, the answer is not enough. It's just not enough. So just wait, keep your 500, keep working, do, whatever you can to use your own panache and your own customer skills to try to sell people on your service, tell people, but don't get in the game with $500. It'll sour you. You'll think online marketing doesn't work. You'll think your marketing team is crooked, when in reality, the fact was we didn't have enough budget to go where we want. But let's just say that we're going to allocate 10% of our $350,000 projected revenue to marketing. And that's going to end up being a marketing budget of 35,000, or give or take $2,900 a month. And that's what we have. And now let's say we want to take that and we want to divide it up for some online marketing at 80%, some offline marketing. Maybe we're going to do some door hangers, some direct mail, some other things at 15%, and then allocate it to our referral, maybe our retargeting plan, other things that we have going on, 5%. So when I look at it, what I'm really looking at from my 35,000 using these numbers, and you can play with these and adjust these. This is the whole point to giving you this worksheet. But I'm now going to allocate $28,000 based on this strategy to online, 5,200 to offline, 1,700 to repeat business. And now I'm going to go take a look at that. So now I have those three columns and I have those monies and I have them allocated equally January through December throughout the course of the year. And it totals the total monies there at the bottom. So my online is 28,000. If I took that 28,000, I said, that's all I'm going to spend. I'm going to spend it equally January through December. It's 2,300 a month. With the offline, it's $437 a month, and with our repeats, 145. But we realize, I know that for most of you, it's not really going to work that way. In January and February, we may allocate 0%. In March through October, we may allocate a larger percent. We may even take, June, July, and August and make that the months that we allocate even the largest expense. And the only thing that's really relevant is that this percentage here ends up 100 at the end of the day. So I can see how much money do I have to work with. And this is the way in a real business, if you had a marketing director, marketing department, hopefully this is the way they're going to be working. They're going to be coming, they're going to be asking for a budget. That's all the money they have to work with. They know it, and they've got to figure out how to allocate that around. And in this case, we have some offline. Let's just say, for example, we're going to do some door hangers and direct mail. Well, I know I've got $5,200.50 or $5,250 to work with. The real fact is, what's the best way to do that? Maybe the best way to do that is here in, say, for example, March, April, and May would be, I am going to dedicate a conscious effort to grow our seasonal mosquito program. And we know we want to get them started in March, April, and May, and don't wait until June, July, and August when we already have mosquito programs. But maybe we need some direct mail. Maybe we need some door hangers. Maybe we need other forms of more traditional offline marketing to get in front of these people to explain to them the benefits of signing up, which then will allow us in future years to renew them and to grow that separate funnel for mosquito. I hope that makes sense to you. I want you to understand is the budget here is 5250. It's not 437 a month. We can take that 5250 and slice it up any way we want. And if I'm working for you and I'm in your marketing department and you gave me 5250 for this year, I'm going to go figure out what's the best way to spend it. I'm not just going to throw it around equally because, wow, that sounds good. And the same thing here with your repeat business. A repeat business is something I'm pretty big on, and that's referral marketing. And that's also using some revenue to do, even though it's really an online budget, but repeat business today, word of mouth, is really kind of online. And that's why referral traffic retargeting is very, very important overall to you. Because if we're doing a good job and we're selling everybody and they like us and they're renewing, we want them telling their friends, their family, their neighbors. Anyway, so you get the idea here. Same thing, right? We need to figure out realistically what is our budget going to be and what's it going to be based on. How much of it is going to be based on existing revenue we have right now? How much of it is going to be based on the revenue we're going to sell as we go, and how much is a realistic budget for me? Do I want to go aggressive here and say, I'm going to go 20% because I want to reinvest in my business? And you can see very quickly, wow, all of a sudden I got 56,000 for online marketing, whereas before I only had a much smaller budget. Or I can say, I don't have any money, man. I'm just trying to survive. So I'm going to go 5%. And then now you get into looking at, are these budgets realistic? Are these going to work if I'm going to have a very, very small budget at a time when I really, really need to have a budget to grow? Does that make sense? And you can see now, if we go down further, what I'd like you to look at is how we can then even break it up into let's say we're going to take our online budget and let's make it a little bit better than 5%. Let's go 12%. And we see what that's going to get us. Well, what that's going to get us is a $33,600 budget here. And I am going to just take, and again, I'm just taking some arbitrary numbers, some fun numbers here. And I'm going to say of that 33,000, I'm going to take 65% and allocate that to general marketing and SEO. I'm going to take another 25%. I'm going to allocate that to pay per click and maybe local service ads. And then 5% I'm going to take and I'm going to allocate that to that retargeting plan that I'm talking about, so that we're following people around as they come to our website or as they hear about us, or if they're on some of our lists and they're not yet on a customer list, we're going to keep following them around. You know what those are, right? Those are little ads that show up on your phone that you're not, they're stalking you. They're on your desktop, they're on your laptop, they're on your tablet, and they're for, in this case, a pest control company that knows you need to buy pest control services, you don't yet have it. So we're going to offer you 50 bucks off the initial, and those ads follow you around. So I really like those, but you can see once again, the same concept here for you already done. So for SEO, I've got 21,000. Now, can I just spread that out over 12 months? Is that the smartest way to do it? And if not, how should I spend that 21,000? Is there a better way to go about that? And I don't want to necessarily get into the nuances here, excuse me, of what really constitutes SEO, what really constitutes marketing, and how and why would I do it different in 1 month from the other. The more important part here is that you have a allocated budget, you have a segment of that. Is it enough? And if we say, you know what, we need more going to pay per click. So I'm going to take this down and I'm going to take it to 50. And then I'm going to take this because I can get what, to 95. So I'm going to make this 35. Is that right? So that's 85 and 5 is 90. So I'm going to make this 45. Help. So now all of a sudden, what I've done here is I'm still using my budget, but I'm working it around a little bit to what makes more sense. So I know I'm kind of new and I want to get some local service ads going. I want to start showing up. I want to start getting maybe a pay-per-click campaign going for my mosquito service. So I need to allocate a little bit more over to pay-per-click. So I just did that. And you can see the money's change accordingly. Now I've got 15,000. Once again, maybe I want to take that whole 15,000 and just spend it right here. And I'm going to go spend it right here in right here in these months, May through September, right? And I can change this amount and make it the whole 15,000. The idea, once again, is staying within my budget. The same with display and retargeting. Does that make sense? Is what I'm doing here making sense? And would that be something that you would be able to work with, that you would be able to maneuver it? Are you, that kind of guy that can work with a budget, that can stay in your checkbook, so to speak, and not just wing it and hope for the best and wait to see what you spent at the end of the year? So everybody, if you will, give me a thumbs up if you're still with me. Let me know if this is good information or if I'm drawing this out or dragging this out a little bit too far. And if in fact you're going to be able to work with this worksheet as we go through and into the future. So everybody that's still with me, if you would, give me a yes, this is great, or move on. Just let me know what I need to do here to make sure that you're all interested still. All right. So I've got several of you still hanging around. So again, we understand this relevancy of creating a goal. And then that goal is going to create the necessity for us to get a certain number of leads. Those leads are going to need to be converted at a certain percentage so the cost per lead doesn't start to exceed and get beyond what we can pay and still make money on a new customer. We then are going to need to be able to build a marketing strategy with some monies that we're going to allocate based on our assessment of what our revenue is going to be available to us this year. And then we're going to take that money and we're going to allocate it around to those areas that we think are going to serve us the best. All of this is really built because what we want to be able to do is make decisions throughout the year that are based on data and information and not guess. So there's that old saying, right? You can't manage what you don't measure. And all of this is designed so that week in, month in, quarter in, year in and out, what you're able to do is you're able to take and build some systems in play that will allow you to have these numbers available to you. And each quarter and each year, you just get a little bit better at managing them and growing your business. It will also give you and us, if we're working with you or if you're working with another marketing agency, the ability to take a hard look at what kind of ROI do we have. Now, what I'm going to do, these next couple, I'm going to go through a little bit faster. But this is an average cost per lead. This is sort of industry wide. Industry wide. So pay per click, you're going to pay about $64 per lead, just generally speaking. If you're in downtown LA, it's probably more than that. Houston, Texas, more than that. If you're in a rural community, it may be less than that. And this is why when you look at this column, it's so very important we know the conversion rate. Because again, if the conversion rate is 50%, you can take all these numbers and just double them. And that's going to give us our sales acquisition cost. And the reason we want to break this all down is we want to measure each thing, because at the end of the day, what we may find is something's working really, really well. So we may take some of our allocated budget and move it from point A to point B because we're getting a much greater return on that. And let's go double down on that. And that is part of what marketing really is. It's trial and error. It's moving monies around. It's trying things. It's measuring them. And then when we hit something that's really working well, we go double down on that. Again, that adage being, we want to be able to trade dimes for quarters. I give you a dime, you give me a quarter back. If we can be assured that that's what's happening, we're now going to go find more and more dimes to put into this slot machine because we're getting quarters back. And then maybe that budget that I had at 8%, I say, you know what, I'm going to slide that up to 12 because we're doing pretty good. And that allocates some more monies, all of it managed right here. The other thing that I want is for you to understand this, and this is really tough for us marketing pest control. So we're looking at an average new customer of 550, and that can be your number. That's not, this is a concept. And we're looking at that number as an industry average, saying that if we do a good job, we get a good residential general pest control recurring customer. Typically, excuse me, it's going to be around for about 3 years. So that means that our average sale of 550 really is worth 1650 over the course of the next 2 to 3 years. We understand there's variables in there that exist that, once again, if we don't monitor them with you, we don't know. And those variables that exist with lifetime 550 being 1650 is one, how many of our customers do we retain? Do we know our retention value? Because maybe of these 550 we sold, 80% of those actually turn into the 1650 lifetime customer value. So we can use that math to determine it's really 80% of 1650. And or we can also say, yeah, but 50% of those that we have as lifetime customer value, 50% of those are 5 years or greater. So these kinds of numbers you want to get really drilled into your own mind in terms of what is our average customer lifetime value, or our lifetime customer value by customer. In this case, we're talking residential, homeowner, general pest control, recurring, because that's what we want to build as our foundation. Excuse me. But what we really want to understand is when I go sell one of those and I nurture them and I take care of them, how long are they going to stay with me? That's really important as we move forward. So these two numbers here, I challenge you to go figure out what they are, because they will have everything to do with us being able to compound the success year in and year out, right? I hope that makes sense. And then these numbers here, we all start to determine in your market, what is it really that a pay per click cost per lead is. And let me tell you where that's important, because when you're working with these so-called gurus out there and all these sort of wizards that are behind the curtain telling you they've got the secret answer, there is no secret answer, guys. The only secret answer is you know how to set up a pay per click campaign in a reasonably good way. And that, generally speaking, you're going to want to pay someone to do that knows what they're doing. But once that's up, all the impressions, eyeballs, all this other talk, balderdash. What we want to know is how many clicks does it take for us to get a lead, a viable opportunity. They contacted us, they sent us a message, they filled out a form. How many does it take? In this case, what you're looking at, the math behind that $64, is basically an average click cost of $8 times 8 clicks equals $64 to get a lead. And you can play with those numbers and try to make them better and try to make them worse, but that's about what you're going to end up with, is between 6 and 8 clicks to get a lead. And then we need to work on how much those clicks are. And that's why you need to diversify those clicks. I was on the phone with a guy just yesterday, and I just told him, look, man, your average click cost is $28. So just do the math. 28 times 8 divided by 2, his, average acquisition cost was approaching $300. So I took you don't want to do Google ads that way. It's too expensive unless you're playing with the big boys at that point, where they've got $1 million budget. They can just throw it down. They don't even really care if they make money. They're just trying to capture all the market that's available in that geographical area. So once again, very, very important that you're understanding how to work with these numbers. Now, these last 3 pages are for you to do your homework. If in fact you want to work with us at some point in the future, or you're already working for us, with us, these are the calendars we need desperately your help with, so we can create content for you throughout the course of the year that's relevant at the time of the year and that's working year round. And you can see it's kind of broken down: pay per click, opportunities, what emphasis on rodent control, begin plans for our new customer sales. It's February rolling into March, emphasize spring, having some different offers. Rodents come in at the winter. How about a free inspection? Spring's coming, schedule your pest control now. Free inspection, $50 off. And you can see that we develop calendars for your online advertising, for your email newsletter campaigns and automated follow-ups, for your social media posting and ads, if you do so, for your blog and video content that's going out via those channels, and any display targeting or retargeting that we want to do. So all of these things are things that you need to think about, you need to work on, you need to work together with us as a team or your marketing team, as opposed to both parties are over here wondering what each other is doing and why they're doing it, and maybe you don't agree with what they're doing. Those things need to come together in a comprehensive plan and team effort. But then we can look over here at special offers. So what do we have? And does everybody that's answering your phones know it? We want to make sure everybody is aware of what are our promotional offers. and we can use email and text messaging to push these out. We can use a lot of things. We can still use social media as well. But we're going to do in January 10% off rodent treatment. We're in February, might do $50 off our annual mosquito, et cetera, et cetera. You need to work on this and make sure that this is relevant for you in your market. If we're going to put coupons on your website, if we're going to do other things, we're going to need to have those coupons that you say, yeah, we can do that, $20 off with our required disclosure. It can't be combined. It's got to be presented. You can't trick us into it. And I know one of you out there that I was working with was recently telling me they were getting people that were trying to get the guy out there, the technician out there, get him to give a bid. Then they would drop the coupon on him afterwards. And we want to make sure, no, we're not going to play that game. Anyway, so that is quite an explanation on our workbook and our worksheet and why we created it. And if any of you that are working with us, you know how much Derek would appreciate having this document that was filled out by you. So if you can find it uh, in, excuse me, if you can find the time and you can find the wherewithal to really sit down with this, really work through it and give it to us, we then can take this and turn this into a complete calendar and a strategy. And anybody that's working for you in marketing, any agency you're working with, should and would greatly appreciate having this available to them. I can tell you that really without any questions. So let me see if I can figure out how to stop sharing this. There we go, and we're back. So I am trying to figure out, I'm having trouble because I'm kind of going between these two things of comments and chats. But let's just take a break here as we've been at this almost an hour, and I'm going to finish this up in about the next 15 minutes. But the next concept I have to share with you really should be a workshop all by itself. But as I just take a minute here, if you would, how many of you are still here? Who's still around? Who's still with me? Just let me know so I know how deep to go into this next section, how much time to take. And if you're out of time, let me know that, hey, this went too long. Please. Oh, great. So some of you just been kind of radio silent. I thought everybody left. And if you would, let me know, one being good, two being so-so, three being you're taking too long here. Let me know what your thoughts are in terms of this being helpful to you in your endeavor to create your own pest control marketing game plan and blueprint for this coming year. So one is this is good. I appreciate what you're presenting. Two is that's okay. Three is you need to rethink the way you're presenting this. Just let me know. So I got the 5-star reviews. I think the 3-star and 1-star reviews they don't want to declare themselves, so that's okay. So I'm a numbers guy, and I think if any of you have heard the podcast, you know I'm also a football guy. I loved coaching junior high school and high school football kids. It was a wonderful time in my life. I wish I could do it for a living. I can't even get a job anymore because I'm too old and everybody wants 20-year-olds nowadays. But anyway, one of the lessons I learned very early on was don't trust your eyes, don't trust your heart. You've got to rely on the data in your brain because it's really ultimately going to tell you what is working. No matter what you want to work, no matter what you think is going to work, the data is going to tell you. And that's what I'm trying to hopefully convey to you here today is if you use this worksheet and you get into this mindset that I need a plan, I need a budget, I need a goal, and it needs to be attainable. And then I need to go after it and I need to monitor it, measure it, and look at it to see if is my hypothesis working or not? Where is it working better than what it's not? and how do I adjust it? Really, really important. Um, so that was the worksheet. And what I want to do here now, wait a minute. Okay, let's kind of get back here now. Okay, and where is the layout that I'm looking for? But I'm going to try to do this and see if this is going to work in terms of the way I'm presenting this. And you guys can let me know if this is just too small. I don't know what device you're on. But I did want just take a second. This is um our management team here at Rhino, and I'm the guy, the ugly guy on the left, and then you've got Derek, Nicole, Karen, and Brett. They really comprise our management team, and they're all available to help anyone at any time. Part of what we want to be in the marketplace is the good guys, and we want to be able to provide help and support as much as just, again, be some agency out there that you're putting money in the slot and you're hoping for the best. And anytime you want to talk to any of us, let us know. I'll give you a link. Um, let me see. I'll give you a link before I leave here if any of you ever want to schedule a meeting to talk a little bit more in depth on what we're doing. And then I don't know if I want, let me just see if this is maybe going to go a little too far here. Again, I have enough stuff here, probably take us 3 hours, and I'm not going to do that to you. But to kind of review a little bit about what it is that we're emphasizing. So, goal setting. Smart goals are sort of the cool marketing term nowadays. But what do they really mean? They mean specific. So, specifically, I want to sell $200,000 this year. They're measurable. Measurable means to get to that, I've got to do 20,000 a month. Achievable means that's really realistic. That's only selling 40 new customers a month. And in order for me to do that, I need to make sure that I have a timeline. So I'm reviewing monthly, quarterly, biannually, and annually to see how close or how far away was I. So that's really our goal set. We want it to be smart. We want it to be not a pipe dream, but we also want it to be a stretch. We don't want it to be easy, and we're going to do that without doing anything anyway. Now, let's let this thing load up. Do you see this in front of you here? And I'm going to go full screen here now because I really want you to see this. And I'm going to explain to you what this is. Then I'm going to finish up here. And then I'm going to figure out how I can create a new workshop for next month just on this, what we refer to as our accelerated growth plan or growth model. Well, let me know if yes, you can see this, because this is a very important concept that I want to leave you with as we roll into our conclusion here. Okay, good. So I want you in your mind's eye to envision this. I couldn't figure out how to really bring in each of these sections on my slideshow, then convert it here to the presentation and make it work. So what I would ideally do is show this to you as one big empty pie. And then I would bring in the accelerated growth model or growth plan so you know what it is that we're trying to demo here. And then what I would do is I would show to you the first third of this pie, which is over here, which is the portion that's titled driving leads. And then the third portion, which is titled maximizing conversions. And then finally, the final portion, or our third, so 1/3, 2/3, final third of optimizing results and how they work together. And I'm going to tell you this because it is something I deal with all of the time and have dealt with for many, many years, dealing with home service companies and aggressive owners. And that is, you're generally going to be hung up over here in this third, which is driving leads. And I'll bet that's where you're at. And we'll talk in a minute here about the three sections of driving leads and what they are. But what I want you to understand as we kind of talk about this pie and these three chunks of this pie is if they don't all work together and all you're doing is chasing leads, what will happen, I promise you, is you will be spending all your money trying to drive leads and you will not be able to understand why you're not making any money or no ROI. And it's because you're neglecting the other pieces. So let's talk about that a little bit. Okay. So get this clear in your head. Section one, drive leads. Section two, maximize conversions. Section three, optimize results. So, what does that really mean? So again, calling this our accelerated growth plan, just kind of a cool way of putting this into terms that you can understand, remember, and then work on. But driving leads. So what is driving leads? The essence of driving leads online and in digital marketing is organic SEO, which is again going to be really revolving around the things you're doing to make sure you're in the places online organically. So you show up in Google search, in Bing search, you show up in places on Facebook, you show up in places in online directories. It's really kind of free. It's really not because you're paying money to get all these things done, but it is free in terms of the actual lead. And then that we are making sure that we're doing all those things ongoing. We refer to this as sweat equity. Okay. So, blogs, things along those lines that are showing up online. Then we talk about paid search. So, for most of you, paid search is going to revolve around Google and local service ads, but there still are lots of other things. There's Yelp, there's directories um, like, yellowpages.com. There are paid search entities like Angie, which now is Home Advisor, that are the same thing. There's Thumbtack. So there's lots of places you can go find to pay money to get leads, and they're all over the place. So you may throw some money around there. And then there's the most commonly overlooked, and I hope like hell, and if you work with us, you know how big we are on this, but it's your contact database. And hopefully, if you're working and if you're new, if you've been in the business a while, if you're an old timer, but you've been saving and growing your list of emails, phone numbers, first and last names of people that your marketing team can continue to keep in the loop through text messaging, through newsletters, through email, through social posts, through all of these various things to make sure that you're getting all of those leads that you can and you're doing those things that you need to. But then let's take a look at if I'm driving leads, and this is why the cost per lead is so very important. How much is it costing me? And if I'm not taking advantage of that second piece of the pie, which is maximizing these conversions, which is again going back to that worksheet and just playing with those numbers. What's my average sale worth? What is my conversion rate? If you just start playing with those numbers, you'll see why they're so, so important and can make all the difference in the world. So when we're maximizing conversions, what are we doing? We're really working with our website as the hub. And maximizing conversions means that our website is indexed properly, that it's got good SEO, that it's showing up in all of the communities we service, that it's showing up in those communities with all the services we provide. So, in other words, we have all of our locations, we have all of our services that we provide within those locations with their own pages that are optimized for results to maximize conversions. Again, it's diversifying. It's the opposite of what I was saying a minute ago about this guy that's spending $28 per click. That's just not going to work, man. It's just not. And then we talk about reputation. If you want to see anything that can help you or hurt you in a hurry, it's your reviews online. We use Bird Eye software. There's lots of them out there. I know some of you use Podium. Some of you even resort to using your pest control software's review system. But reviews are critical. 5-star reviews, even 4 stars, 4.5. People know you're not going to be perfect, but if you have a large number of them, that's going to put you in the maps listings, which is the 3-pack there. It's going to get a lot of people that are looking to research by reviews to find you, see that you're good guys, see that you follow up. Why answering those reviews is so important, but it's a critical component to maximizing conversions. And then last is automation. And automation this year is going to become a focal point for us because it's starting to take over. And I'm not talking about AI or artificial intelligence, although it can play a role. What I'm talking about is this. So, in today's day and age, people want an answer and they want it now. People are really using their cell phone as the primary place that they're going to get their information. In pest control, it's approaching 80% of all of the activity. And so if I'm scrolling through here and I see Acme Pest Control, or I say to Siri, "Hey Siri, find me a pest control company that's near me," and she kicks in and gives me some leads, and I'm going to use my thumb, right? I'm going to use my thumb here to kind of scroll through. I'm going to click on one that looks good. I'm going to maybe read a review very quickly. I'm going to call, or I'm going to fill out a form or text message right now, and I want a response right now. So, what do we have that's automatic? So that we're responding within 2 to 3 minutes, not 2 to 3 hours or 2 to 3 days, 2 to 3 minutes. What automation do we have in play? One that will automatically say, "Hey, just got your message and I'm going to be calling you, I'm going to be getting back to you." Or we don't sell them. It's a lead that comes in, we got some information, we didn't sell them anything. We want to follow up. We want to send a text message. We want to send an email. We want to put them into our newsletter list. So we're growing that leads pool all of the time. So we're continually and always in our own marketplace on an automatic way, reaching out to people and not trying to remember, or at worst case, we're not just taking all the cream off the crop, off the top, getting those leads that were easy, selling them, and then just forgetting about everybody else, because that's where you're back to now. That cost per lead that we're not maximizing is killing us because our conversion rate now has gone down to 30% or 20%. Does that concept make sense to you guys out there? I'm going to give it just a second here, let it regurgitate through our live feed here, and make sure you understand what I'm talking about. Okay. So driving leads is an integral part of digital marketing and online advertising and marketing in general, and determining what that cost per lead is. Now, maximizing the conversions, or doing the things that are necessary to make sure that we're converting as many of those leads so that cost per lead now goes down and makes the monies that we're selling worth more than just waiting to see what comes in and hoping for the best, is key. It's key. So having, again, you see the State Farm commercials with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, right? Bundling, the bundle options. You want some, chicken McNuggets with those fries and a burger, some of those fun things, but that's real. We want to have a GPC plan. We want to have a plan that includes mosquito care in the off season. We want to be able to bundle that with our stinging and insect program in the summer. And we want to have options that are available, that are easy to understand. So once again, we can maximize those conversions. We can automate that process as much as humanly possible. So we're getting back to everyone right now. That's where web chat comes in play, and that's where our staff and the people we're working with need to understand how to respond to notifications on their phone, how to have multiple tabs open on their desktop so they can work and get things done. And I don't want to hear about how hard it is. I don't want to do it. You know, she's been with us for 30 years, so we can't count on her. We have to do these things. We have to do these things if we're going to attain the goals that we set forth. We have to put the pieces in place. And then finally, optimizing results. What does that really mean? Optimizing results. What it really means to me is this, that we have a clear understanding of our KPIs, or our key performance indicators, so that we can determine at the end of the day, all this money we're spending, all this money we allocated, all these decisions we're making to move things around. At the end of the day, what's working and what's not, so that we can maximize our cost per lead and maximize our conversion rate to then give us our allocated amount of what it is that we got for what we spent. I hope that makes sense. Because generally speaking, that can be anarchy, it can be a battle, it can be a fight. I worked, in a very large company where we had millions of dollars of allocated budget. We had hundreds of people all fighting for it. And then at the end of the day, everybody making excuses over why they didn't do what they said they were going to do with the budget they got. It's that old adage, right? Marketing gets the leads, sales sells the leads. Sales says that marketing's leads are no good. Marketing says that the sales rep can't sell anything. And so we have that. What we don't want to do is have that kind of a relationship with the people we're working with. What we want to be able to do is really be able to evaluate what's happening here and how can we make it better and how can we achieve our goals, and then with those compounded results next year, how can we double our goals? How can we use the monies that we receive this year that are going to renew next year to grow those revenues even more next year? And this growth plan, once again, is how we try to get there. And this is, again, right here, driving leads and the cost of that and maximizing the conversions, to me, is where the conflict um, comes to play between most marketing agencies and their customers. It's, hey, we're spending all this money, we're getting all these leads, but we don't see any money. Well, are we really truly maximizing what we're doing for to obtain a better return? And that's debatable, but it's not a fight. It needs to be a team effort. And I hope I'm getting that across to you, because whoever you're working with, that needs to be what it's all about. I'll give you an example, and I'm going to wind down here. I had more stuff, but I'm going to wind it down because we're going to get too long. But the example was this. So one of the things I do every day is talk to people that want to be, that want to consider us as their marketing company. Unfortunately, a lot of times what happens is we'll get the call after they have had a bad relationship with another marketing company. And oftentimes it puts me in a weird spot because I feel like I'm that guy that's got a date with a new girl, but she was in an abusive relationship. So now I'm sort of being judged to a degree that's not fair, because I haven't even had a chance to show her what a great guy I am. She's already comparing me to this terrible person she was dealing with before. So I get that with marketing companies. They have had a bad experience, were promised the moon, sold, snake oil, and now I'm being judged to that, and our company's being judged to that before we've even started, which is not fair. But the point that I'm really trying to make with that story was this. In this case, this guy is one of these, and he was the guy who had those $28 leads. So he's chasing leads. I know it. I could tell by the conversation. And he's spending a lot of money on this. but he's not maximizing his conversions. His GA4 analytics were not set up. He could not adequately explain to me how many leads he was getting and where they were coming from. The only thing he knew was that the good leads he was getting, we were selling at 80%, and that's great. But his marketing company sucked because they weren't giving him enough of these leads to convert at 80 to 90%. And he wanted a relationship where he was only going to pay based on the good leads that they sold. And he wanted a marketing company that would say, we don't expect to be paid unless you get the goal of those you want. I said, you know what, that's just silly. I can't control that. We can't control that. I don't know if what you consider a good lead is a good lead. If you want that relationship, go to Home Advisor, or Angie now. They'll sell you leads for $40, $45 a piece. You'll get those shared leads with other people. They're supposedly qualified leads, and you can go sell those. So that is what I'm talking about, where maximizing conversions is the key, and then optimizing results and being able to know how many of those leads really came in. We deal with this with our own clients with CallRail. Once that we actually get them to go through those calls and look at it, it's an eye opener. They start to realize, wow, there's a lot of these leads that are coming in that we're not converting. So our conversion rate's gone down to 25% because maybe we're not doing the things in marketing automation that we should do to be able to follow up on those and improve that. Because I know when we improve that conversion rate to 25 to 50%, our cost per lead goes down by half and our ROI goes up by double, if that all makes sense. So that's the game here that we're always constantly doing. So with that, we're into almost 90 minutes. That's too long. So with that, I am going to show you just a couple things here real quick. I'll let this page catch up. I was going to show you a case study, but what I'm going to do is move through it to show you this is where we really need to be, or you need to be. So in this case, this is one of our clients. It's kind of an unfair example in the sense that we've been with this client for 7 or 8 years. So we've had a long time to work with them. We're on our second iteration of their website. We've got things really dialed in. They're on the HubSpot platform. So from a marketing perspective, it's a dream. But what you see here, though, is here's what we tracked 738 leads. And this is a 30-day period. We tracked the cost for all of that activity was $7,500. That's simple division to say to you that your average cost per lead is $10.16. When you look at those leads and those buckets, so we have organic, we have local service ads, Google Maps, which is organic. These are the two in red. We have web forms, which are form fills that are coming in from various sources. And then you see the total lead number, which is 738. Again, all of these things, free, paid, all this is dumped into one bucket to give us a lead count divided by a investment count. So your marketing, the cost to us is in here, the cost to Google is in here, any additional costs we may have is all in here. So this is a real total cost so we can look at. Now, you do the math yourself, okay? 738 leads, and let's be fair and say, well, we're only converting 30% of those. And then we look at the number of those that got sold. Then we multiply that by just $400, which is what we use. I'm not even going to say the number. I'm going to let you look at it. So do the math yourself, and this is where we want to go. And if you just keep working at this, you can build a lead generating machine that's well oiled, well managed, based on numbers, based on data over a period of time. Can you do this in 2 months or 3 weeks? No. The day your website goes live, are you going to see these kinds of numbers? No, because you still need to build all of those other components and then work on them to make sure that it's all coming together. But what I'm saying to you is this is where you should be over time. here's I'm gonna bounce through this really, really quick. And I will any of you that want it, I will give it to you. All you have to do is say I want it. I'll send you the link. And let me get this up here real quick. So give me a second for this to load, then we'll finish up here. So yeah, let it go. So this is just a document we created. I don't know why my picture's on everything. We're going to fix that here in 24. But if you download this, what it's going to do, there's 10 components to your online marketing strategy that's got to be in play. When I'm talking about this, and I'm talking about the things that have to be in place before you start monitoring it and managing it, because if you don't have anything to manage, what's the point? But it's going to break it down into those 10 components. So your website is going to have questions for you to answer for yourself. Your SEO, number 3, your social media, number 4, all of your Google tools. Most of these are all free with the exception of the paid ad stuff, but you can even get those set up, have them ready and prepared and not have them on. You can have them in a pause status so you have them ready. So they're built in advance. So if we're ready for our rodent plan, we're ready for our mosquito plan, boom, we go on. Your reviews and reputation. uh, Again, this is something we often will fuss with our own clients. You have to do this every week. You need to set a goal that says, I'm going to get 2 or 3 5-star reviews every week if I have to go beg for them. We're going to do it because we know if we do that at the end of the year, that's another 150. And we're going to start to outpace our competition. And we're going to start to rank number 1 in the Google Maps listings in our area, which is extremely, extremely important. Do you use email and text messaging? This gets back to some of that marketing automation. Do you use it effectively? And I'm not talking about letting them know we'll be there tomorrow. I'm talking about following up with promotions. I'm talking about staying engaged with them so they know we're the local pest control company of choice. Regardless of what you need, we provide it. Regardless of what you want to pay, we'll bundle it up and make sure that you have a great deal available with us. Your NAP listings, I'm going to just kind of brush through that. It's a little bit complicated. We use a software product that has a data aggregator to make sure across the internet, your location or locations are all consistent. And again, all of that is designed to drive up your domain authority and your trustworthiness with Google so they show you in local search. Do you have a content strategy today that really revolves around blogging and video? And do you devote enough time to that so that you're getting constant content being distributed in your local market better, faster, more, and broken into topic clusters than all of your competitors? And then is online advertising in your strategy? Are you ready for a budget? Like I said, this guy I just talked to yesterday. If once you get your budget going, you see that you're paying $28 a click, the answer is you're not ready, and you need an organization that can put it together better for you, so you get those click costs down around or below $10. Again, some of this is going to depend on where you're at, but if that's part of your strategy, be very careful. Google's a slot machine, man, and it will eat up your quarters faster than you can put them in there if you don't know what you're doing. On the other hand, it can be a great, great asset to you over time if you know how to do it consistently. It can keep you in the marketplace at the top of the list for anything anybody is working or is looking for. Excuse me. Last but not least is your sales process. Nothing's going to improve your conversion rates and make things better for you from an ROI standpoint faster than a sales process. And a sales process is just simply having a plan in place so everybody that works for you, excuse me, everybody that works for you knows what we sell, knows what circumstances we sell that in, knows what available promotional offers we may have to entice them to go ahead and sell it, and then knows what we're going to do as a follow up if we don't sell them. That's a sales process. And you can use a CRM, or I promise you, folks, if you're organized, you can use a notepad and a pencil to start. It's the concept of understanding how to go through the 5 steps of selling when you're talking to people that's important. And those 5 steps and that sales process can be managed in a 90-second phone call very effectively if you know what you're doing. So this is a very, very important concept to um, to your overall maximizing conversion. So that's really quick. I'm gonna end it here because I'm getting uncomfortable that I've gone too far. And again, part of all of this for me is being able to learn how to present these concepts to you as quickly as we can. And let me see how I get this out of here, right? Yep. I'm going to add this back up in here, and I am going to finish this up. If you want to have any scheduled time to meet, just talk. We would love to talk to you about the services we provide and add you on as a new customer if you're not a new customer now. And I know, yes, Judy, yeah, let me do that right now before I even forget. So let me go back here and let me go get that link. So I'm going to get that link to all of you, and I'll make sure that you all get that. Matter of fact, what I'll do, just so we don't get all goofed up here, I will send that link and all of the documents and the different things I talked about here to you, a follow-up email. And then what I would ask is if you can help me and be critical. I mean, I really want to know, how can I make this better? And then what I'm going to do is break it down into small pieces, have these ongoing monthly so that we can really get into a little bit better detail on all of these things, because this is what we do here. This is why it takes, 6 or 7 people to really manage your account, because there's all of these activities that are going on that all add up to and equal a managed strategy. All of those of you who work with us, if you will be so kind as to fill out that workbook, your own version of it, get it over to Derek and or Brett, and make sure they have a copy of that. We will integrate that into your ongoing marketing plan, especially your content calendars. Video is big this year. Text messaging is big this year. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to say really thank you for your time. All of you, if you would just say farewell. I want to see how many people hung with me here. This was a long meeting. I apologize that it went that long. I really wanted it to be about 60 to 75 minutes. I think where I misjudged it was just how much information it really was, because there was a lot of stuff here I wanted to do in more detail. So with that in mind, I'm going to say farewell. I am going to be available to any of you anytime. And I really do hope that all of this is for your success. And I hope that I can help you to be able to take all of your hopes, desires, your goals, and the things that you want to accomplish with your own business to the next level. And this will be able to help you. All right, folks. With that, I'm going to sign out. I'm going to end this thing, and I hope I've done everything right. Have a great day, guys. Thanks so much for your time.